Error occurred. यहाँ पे एरर बता रहा है. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to Toppers Mantra platform. Myself, Abhilash Bhandari. Today, we will be discussing about ethics, the paper, the syllabus, the importance of ethics, and why we should study ethics in general. So I hope the session is quite interesting for all and you will gain something from it. So without much ado, let's begin. This session will be bilingual. So if anybody has any problem with English or with Hindi, they can be very comfortable with the both. So there will be no issues with that also. Let's begin. UPSC GS4 Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. That's the subject name which we will be looking at. So let's start with the basics first. So what's the Syllabus of Ethics? Everybody must be aware. I hope many of you have read it. Most of you have learned it. So there are some few points which you should know about ethics and those we'll be discussing today. So starting with, what is the syllabus in ethics? When I say ethics are part of GS4, right? But then it's not only GS4. Ethics is something which you have in you. It's not something which can be learned. It's not something which can be taught to you. If you have it, it can just be enhanced in yourself, right? So if you say you will learn ethics, you will read the books and you will write the paper and you will get the marks, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. You have to internalize the subject, and that's the only way that you can learn ethics and you can get marks in the ethics. So now here I have written syllabus ethics in totality, right? So now the first point comes is, I have not shown you the GS4 ka syllabus. I have not shown you any syllabus. But when I say syllabus in totality, what does I mean? I mean, you have to know GS1, GS2, GS3 along with GS4, optional, essay. All the subjects are part of your essay syllabus, ethics syllabus, GS syllabus, right? Now, many of you must be wondering why we have to know other things, other GS papers. Of course, you have to clear entire exam. Ethics paper is not going to make you qualify. But apart from that, it's very important for subject ethics as well. Now, when I say you have to, ethics paper has to be loaded with examples, right? Everybody must have told you before this. I'm not saying anything new. But now the problem comes, where are you going to get these examples from? Are you going to Google it every time? Are you going to search integrity examples for UPSC? No, don't waste so much time. Just use your GS material. GS1, Gandhiji, Ambedkar, Tilak, world history. You have examples, n number of examples. World history, Napoleon Bonaparte. You can use it in ethics, can't you? Hitler, you can use it in ethics, can't you? Right? Same way goes for society, geography, polity. Polity, we have n number of examples which we can be used in example. Like, to be very frank, we can start with our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Right? What he did during 1990s when we had our new economic policies. So he deposited his foreign currency exchange gains in the National Relief Fund. So because he believed that he cannot gain from a policy change when the nation is in turmoil. So that's where you get integrity, right? This is not something which you're going to get in some books, or this is extracurricular reading which you should be doing. And that will help you tremendously in ethics. There are few things of your ethics which you should know. In GS3 you have CSR, in GS3 you have environment, climate ethics, right? Are you able to relate? I think I am able to make you understand what's the basic requirement of ethics. It's not only about few books, it's not only about few discussions. Today I'll be having 30-35 minutes discussion with you, but that's not complete ethics. Today you will just have broader, I'll make an attempt to broaden your horizon so that you are able to understand the concept of ethics, right? So in subject in totality, You can use in every GS paper, essays, you get previous year questions. Use those quotes as an example, as an answer part. So that become also a very good source of your material and notes. That will also help you eventually. Previous year questions. Now this questions is oftenly asked. What's the importance of previous year questions? What's every topper, every faculty has been emphasizing on previous year questions. And if the someone doesn't, then I'm very sorry, you are not on the right path. If you are not following previous year questions trend, if you're not following previous year questions topics, if you're not following previous year questions quotes in ethics especially, you are making a big mistake. When I say that, every year there are 3 questions, quotes which you should know. What do you mean by them? And they give the quotes and you have to explain. You have to explain some part of an administration as well. So every year they are there. You can use them in essay, you can use them in your ethics, you can use them in your case studies as well. So case studies is a major part, around 120 marks, and 130, 120 comes for the ethics section, section A. So you can definitely use them, and that's where previous year question helps. Previous year questions are not only for what we say, understanding the trend. We have to be very smart in ethics preparation, because it's not something which you will, unlike economy, unlike job polity, there are few areas which you will get from the book and you will write those answers about them. There are some static portion and current affairs mixed. In ethics, you will not get that. To give an example to emphasize the point why you should internalize ethics, we can see that in mains 2022, the recently happened mains, there was a question on Russia-Ukraine war. And the question was what ethical dimensions you will consider for the war and on that lines. Now of all the GS, the Russia-Ukraine found the place in GS4. And many people were wondering that how can that happen? But that's UPSC. That can happen anytime, every time. So be prepared for them. So there is nothing a topic called like it's an international relation question and why they have asked in ethics. They have international ethics as well. They have organizational ethics as well. So that's where the ethics comes into play. Ethics is everywhere. So previous year questions are utmost important. Own understanding of ethics. In market, there are many books which you can refer. There is D.K. Balaji, there is the Lexicon, there is another Karthikeyan ka book hai, TMH publication. So they all have given material, they all have given examples. No doubt they are very good books, but I don't prefer any book as such, because ethics is not something which you can learn from a book. When I say you have to be integral, you have to know what's the meaning of integral. You have to know what it feels to be integral. You have to know what steps have to be taken to be integral. So like coming to the example of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister, nobody taught him to be integral. He was himself, and that's what made him do the act which he did, right? That's what has to happen with you. You should know what you are doing, why you are writing ethics. You are not writing ethics to gain the mark. That's only one part of it. You have to be ethical in your day-to-day approach. You have to find ethics in every place you go. The auto driver you move with, the PMT, the local metro, whatever you work, the local grocery shop, the chai wala, everything, wherever you go, you can find ethical examples. Of course, you cannot write them in your paper for sure, but you have to know, you have to link that concepts with surroundings around you so that it's very easy to internalize. I guess I am able to make you realize what's required for ethics, right? Online students can type their questions as well. I'll look at a stretch for sure. And I'll try to understand, reply to all those. Others, what comes into others? Discussions, Google, movies, Netflix, books. The more you read, the more ethics you gain. If you read Kalam sir's book, definitely you are going to gain. If you read Experiments with Truth, Mahatma Gandhi wala book, definitely you are going to get ethics, aren't you? Right? So Google कर लो, अच्छी चीजें हैं, YouTube पे बहुत मटेरियल अवेलेबल होता है, बहुत सारे क्लासेस ने, बहुत सारे प्रीवियस टॉपर्स ने, एस्पिरेंट्स ने कुछ ना कुछ डाला हुआ है एथिक्स के बारे में. सो जस्ट बी वेरी स्मार्ट, टेक सिलेक्टिव टॉपिक्स एंड मेक योर ओन नोट्स. If you make your own notes, they will be only the source which you have to refer at the end of the day, because to be very frank, you don't have much time to revise ethics. 250 marks, least prepared, most gainful. How? Ethics is not something structure bound. You can go anywhere, but you have to be relevant all the time. That's the biggest challenge in ethics, because everything is relevant and everything seems irrelevant when you write the answer. When you discuss, it's everything relevant. Okay, fine. This can be linked. A thing can be linked. B thing can be linked. Russia, Ukraine आ गया है, तो we can give India example. We can give USA का example. We can give West Asia का example. We can give China का example. Fine, all good. But what the question is asking? Question is asking ethical considerations. So ethical considerations में you have to link India में क्या impact हुआ है and what ethics says that. So now when the world is facing the food crisis, is it ethical for Russia and Ukraine to continue with the war? No, it's not. People are dying. So you have to say that on the ethical grounds, on the poverty, hunger, food security, on humanitarian grounds, that's ethics, not international relations, right? International relations का part अलग रखेंगे, ethics का part अलग रखेंगे, both can be mixed. तो right, clear? आगे बढ़ते हैं. This is what UPSC has given us as a part of syllabus. Right? This paper will include questions to set the candidate's attitude. Now we will take few keywords and I'll explain what does that mean. Attitude, approach to issues, integrity, probity in public life, problem solving approach to various issues and conflicts faced by him, dealing with society. Questions may utilize case study. This is the first para of the UPSC syllabus which they have provided us, and we have to decode this first to understand, because syllabus decoding is the most important thing to understand any subject and study it. Unless and until you know the syllabus, you are not going to get to the bottom of it. Here are a few key terms: attitude, approach, integrity, probity, problem solving approach, dealing with society, and case studies. So if you know this, you know half the syllabus, right? No, you don't. Don't be in a kind of illusion that you know syllabus and you can, if you just know the syllabus, you can get through it. Syllabus is just the starting of it's just the tip of the iceberg. You have to get to the bottom, right? But what we can infer from this is attitude is very important. We have separate unit with respect to attitude, unit 2. Probity, integrity is very important. We have separate units for that also. Now this comes where the part most important and interesting. Problem solving approach. Why they have mentioned problem solving approach in ethics, not in GS2, not in GS1, not in SC? There has to be some particular reason. UPSC बिना काम के कुछ नहीं लिखता है. Every word, every sentence, every punctuation is utmost important in UPSC का paper syllabus. So why they have mentioned problem solving approach in GS4 and not in other GSs? I can get if anybody can answer that. Okay, so problem solving approach, you have to be solution oriented, right? Now the next question is why? We all are preparing for UPSC. Nobody is preparing for last rank, I guess. Everybody is preparing for the first. Everybody wants to be AIR 1 or somewhere down that, close to that, close enough so that you get IAS. There are very few who want to be IPS, other stuff. There is no denial to it. All services are good. But the common point, we all want to be an administrators, right? We are going to manage things. We are going to administer the surrounding. We are going to implement government schemes. So that we need problem solving approach. Every moment, every second of your service is going to force you face challenges, force you face problems, and you have to have solutions to that. You cannot ask, you cannot refer books unless and until it's such a huge that you don't have capacity to do that. Ethics will help you develop that capacity, right? Yes. So problem solving approach, that's why it's important. Problems will come when you deal with society. That's why dealing with society is very important. Issues and conflicts. There are n number of conflicts. You are walking, there are two people coming to you. There is land dispute, there is family dispute, there is n number of issues that can happen in your service. You have to deal with your personal issues as well, because ethics will help you to deal personal dilemmas, ethical dilemmas, right? So when we see there is a officer in Jharkhand who has refused food grains to some few people due to non-linkages of Aadhaar, that's not a resolution, right? There is no solution to it. That's complete blind following of rules and regulations. But ethics help you to develop humanistic approach, to be welfare oriented, to be people oriented, to have constitutionalism in you, right? Because people are the ultimate sovereign, correct? That's mentioned in preamble. So that's why problem solving approach dealing with society. Now case studies. What are case studies and what are examples? We often get mixed up. What do you mean by case studies? Case studies are short stories as well. Case studies is basically a situation which you have been given and you have to deal with it. How are you going to deal? So there is, I guess 2019 or 18 somewhere the question was asked There is a village, backward village, no public transport as such. There is only one train that is also 10 kilometers far somewhere. And a company, a plastic manufacturing company, has set up its plant. It's doing fantastic. It's providing employment. It's ensuring there is no wastage, no pollution. It's also helping people with education, hospitalization, rehabilitating people. Everything is doing fine. Now, at the end of that case study, they have mentioned find the ethical dilemmas and is the current company role model for the development. Now, when you read this such kind of case studies, you are at first instance, you are not able to find what's the problem with that case study. Everything seems so fantastic. Like the company is there, it has doing everything well. There is no pollution, there is no corruption, there is no unholy nexus between the two, between the politicians and the company, or the administration and the company. People are getting employment, local employment as well. They don't have to migrate. Everything fine. Everything seems so fantastic. And here comes the problem of case studies. In exam hall, you get stumped. You will not able to comprehend if you have not practiced enough. Like what is being asked here. So case study is you are given a situation, identify the loopholes, find the solutions and choose the best alternative. And when I say examples, examples are something which have already occurred. You have to just give reference to substantiate your points, right? When I say example of Ma'am Durga Shakti Nagpal, it's an example, it's not a case study. But when I say what she had done, I elaborate that. I give situational understanding of what was happening, what she did and what was the impact, then it becomes a case study, correct? Am I making it sufficiently clear? The difference between case studies and the examples? Right. So moving ahead, we'll see unit wise what are the few peculiar components which we are expected to know. Ethics human interface. The name of the unit is ethics human interface. What does that mean to you? You are a person, you are going to interact with ethics, right? You are going to interact with people, you are going to interact with yourself, you are going to interact with society at large. That's the interface, that's the interaction, that's the communication, and that's where ethics come into play. So where you see role of family, society, educational institutions. These are our basic sources where we can learn ethics from. Observational learning is the part of that. Educational learning is the part of that. Schools, colleges, peer pressures, experiences, all will fall into the family, society, educational institutions. Dimensions of ethics, ethics human interface, determinants, sources, are all part of the syllabus which you should know. I'll advise one thing before we go into depth of the syllabus into more. There are few things which you should know. Ethics, you should never read from the book and understand. That's not how ethics has to be learned. Now you see determinants of ethics as a topic, right? Now ask yourself a question. What are the determinants of ethics? What factors will impact ethics? What factors will develop ethics in you? List down those points, and I am very pretty sure if you list down 5 points, of those 5, 3 will be there in your book mentioned. That's how you learn ethics. If you read the book and you start recalling, mugging up, then you are not going to learn ethics, and I'm very sorry you are not going to get marks for that, right? Ask yourself questions, make the subject very interactive with yourself, ask your friends to ask you the questions, and that's when ethics will start developing, correct? Ethics in private and public relationships. Now, as I say, you are going to be an administrator. Administrators are individuals as well. They have their own personal life. They have the private life. They have their own home. But at the same time, they work for the administration, for the betterment of society. Recently in Tamil Nadu, there was kind of a bit of, I can say, unwanted controversy happening. A female IAS officer brought her child to a ceremony, and there was no problem, there was no disturbance in the event happening on. But few people criticized the event. Now this question comes. The lady IAS officer, is she only the IAS officer or she is also a woman? Right? She is also a woman, she also had her maternal responsibilities, as a mother, responsibilities as a wife, yet she is an administrator, she is able to manage both. So ethics in public, ethics in private. There is a cliche example going around in the previous year questions, and when you take any class as such, there is a person, it's also a previous year case study by that means. There is a senior officer who is going to help you in your career progress. He is going to guide you and all that stuff. One day, somehow you have to visit his home for some clarifications, and you see he is not behaving properly with his wife. There is some domestic violence happening or some or the other thing happening. But in the office, in the private sphere, in the public sphere, he's completely different person. He's completely jovial, he respects women and all that. You cannot say that this is the same person who was having a kind of domestic violence at home and same person in a public sphere. What will you do? This is the ethical dilemma. You know he is not behaving right at his home, and he is something fake kind of thing is happening in public life. So that's where it comes into play. Ethics in public, ethics in private. Let me tell you one thing. The aspirants, I hope everybody have watched the aspirant series here. There is one dialogue, fake it till you make it. That is very good for the series only. I'll tell you why. Because it's very rare that you can fake till you make it. It's one in lakhs, one in crores, and we are not that. We are not going to work on exceptions. We are going to work for generalized statements. We are going to work as a general student, normal aspirant. Correct? So don't try to fake. The people in the commission, the UPSC commission, the unpredictable public service commission we call, they know what things are happening around. They can just see and identify what kind of what things you have faked, what things you are genuine with, because they know entire body language, your eye contact, everything. So don't fake it. And that's why public and private is very important, because when both are into sync, then only things will happen properly, right? Else there will be conflict, there will be dilemmas always, and you will not be able to perform. Lessons from the lives of teachings of greater leaders, reformers, and administrators. Now tell me, are you going to read entire list of the reformers, list of all the leaders, list of all the great kings? No, you don't. You don't have to. That's your JS1 ka syllabus. World history, modern history, ancient history, society, right? You can get few examples from polity as well. Science, tech. You will get few examples of teaching. So that's how things get covered. If you have optional of philosophy, PSIR, public administration, sociology, everywhere there are thinkers. They teach you some philosophy, they teach you some ethics. You are going to use that here. Same is with the another unit which we will discuss in few minutes. Attitude. This is unit 2 of the syllabus given by the UPSC, and we all have a lot in us, right? But we have to change, we have to orient, we have to redirect our attitude towards positive attitude and clear and crack this exam, right? That's why we are here. I'll highlight only few words of the unit and you will get what the crux of it. Influence, behavior, political and moral attitude, social influence, persuasion. These are few terms that you should be thorough with. Now, as they say, attitude impacts your values, attitude will impact your behavior, but behavior will also impact your attitude. Correct? That goes in a yin-yang style. The loop goes on and on. That's why we have to be very careful what kind of attitude we keep. If you have a positive attitude towards studies, you will definitely study well. But if you have negative attitude, you will find every single second chance to waste your time apart from studies. And I say waste because you are preparing for UPSC and it demands too much of hard work, too much of sacrifice. There is no denial to it. Social influence, persuasion. Social media, everybody uses Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat and whatnot, right? The list goes on. But it has social influence on us. When you see friends of yours getting married, they are having picnic, holidays, you feel uncomfortable. Many of you will eventually, if not already, block your social media accounts, delete those accounts, and they'll like, okay, fine, we'll study, हमें पढ़ाई पे focus करने दो, ये सब distraction है, नहीं चाहिए करके. So social influence is very important to have your attitude. Persuasion. What's persuasion? Persuasion is something which you consciously make an effort to make someone understand, make someone believe in what you are saying. I am making an effort to make you believe that I will be able to decode the syllabus for you, right? That's what I am using my persuasion skills. If you understand, my skills are pretty good. If not, then I'll have to improve. Simple as that. Behavior, influence, political attitude. Doesn't your political culture define what kind of social harmony, social behavior, society are you going to have? Few years ago, few decades ago, few centuries ago, few thousand years ago, we had monarchy and we felt monarchy was the best we can have. Then we started facing the ills of monarchy. There was elitism, there was complete social disharmony. Then came the democracy wala concept, and now we feel we cannot live without democracy. If in today's context, 2022, November 2022, if someone says to you in India that democracy is not going to work and monarchy is the best, what will you say? You say, he's gone mad, right? You don't understand that things are not going to be same as they were because your values have changed. Your attitude has changed. There is one short story that defines the attitude very well. I have been talking with my friends and they have shared this with me. When you take मिठाई, like आप मंदिर जा रहे हो, साथ में मिठाई लेके जाते हो, भगवान के लिए चढ़ावा लेके जाते हो, लेकिन जब मंदिर से बाहर आते हो तो हाथ में प्रसाद लेके आते हो. So if you go buy like half kg of मिठाई पेड़ा suppose, अब जब रास्ते में कोई मिल रहा है तो उसको पेड़ा बन के खिला दोगे, लेकिन जब मंदिर में भगवान के दर्शन करके आते हो तो बाहर आके वही पेड़ा प्रसाद बन के खिलाते हो. So what's the difference? What changed when you went into the temple and when you came out of the temple, right? Your attitude changed. Your attitude changed towards the feelings, towards the emotions, towards the substance, towards the object. That's what we will learn here, and I'll tell you a few things which are very important at the end when I just go through entire syllabus, and you will understand the interlinkages as well. So don't worry about that, how to link first unit with the second unit as well. Aptitude and foundational values for civil service. Now here comes the two things, aptitude and foundational values for the civil services. So now the question comes, is attitude important or aptitude important? But before that, you should know what is the difference between attitude and aptitude. You're getting my questions. I'm constantly throwing questions at you so that you start thinking on the lines which I want you to, because if you start thinking, you will explore ethical dimensions. Aptitude is something which you have inbuilt in yourself. After 10th, you give aptitude test to decide you will go for science, commerce or arts. Same way things happens over here. You have to have aptitude. You have to have inbuilt in you the qualities of ethics, the qualities of public servant, and that's why values of foundational civil services are important and they are linked over here. But these values are completely and are fully able to be learned, right? It's not something that you will always have. If you have 19-20 का फर्क है, उसको sharpen करके उसको सही कर सकते हैं. That's why they have kept here. An attitude is something which you develop on your own, which you learn over a period of time. Aptitude is something which you have inbuilt in yourself. So ये values है integrity, impartiality, non-partisanship, objectivity, dedication to public service. In sub terms को all the terms given in the syllabus, you have to have complete list of them. You have to have short definitions of them. You have to have 3 to 4 examples of them. Example has to be from, you can diversify your examples, one from mythology, one from society, one from administration. That will give you much bigger edge in the marks, right? Empathy, tolerance, corrupt compassion towards weaker sections. Now people also often confuse between what is sympathy, what is empathy, what is compassion. You should know these all short terms that will clearly enhance your quality of answer, because in the exam hall you don't have much time to think. You get the question, you have to read it, you have to write it, you have to write it so well that others don't get more marks than you, and you have to complete entire paper in the time. Going by the size of 2022 paper, it's very difficult to complete the paper, let me assure you. You have to be very pinpoint. You have to have everything at your tip of tongue. Then only you will be able to complete in a reasonably well mannered and in time. I'll give you a few examples as well. It's not just I'll just go through with this syllabus and bore you. I'll give you a few examples and make it interesting. We will just discuss where this can be linked as well. Emotional intelligence. These are two terms, emotions and intelligence. Emotions is something by heart and intelligence is something by mind, right? You learn, you educate yourself, you use your mind. That's where intelligence comes into play. When heart and mind come together, that's emotional intelligence, right? So you can get the bookish definition that you have to monitor your own emotions and understand others' emotions as well. But that's very bookish. Learn it from a perspective that you understand yourself. What is emotional intelligence? You have to be clever enough. आपको इमोशनल फूल नहीं होना है, आपको इमोशनली इंटेलिजेंट होना है. EI स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए आपका. कैसे होगा? आप जब अपने इमोशंस को कंट्रोल कर पाएंगे, उसको सही डायरेक्शन दे पाएंगे. डायरेक्शन सही कैसे मिलेगी? इंटेलिजेंस से मिलेगी. You will have to identify what things are beneficial for you, what things are beneficial for society at large, and do accordingly. That's when emotional intelligence comes into play. It's very important for administration, because if you are not emotionally intelligent, people will make fool of you. They will exploit you. They will torture you in a sense that you will not be able to perform your task. You will have continuous pressures, and then entire system will eventually collapse because nobody is able to perform. That's why we have various initiatives where government of India is planning that people, the administrators are emotionally intelligent, they are having ethical values, they have their own orientation towards welfare, and that's where we are making progress. Mission Karma is one part of that, right? Public service values, ethics in public administration. Now this is complete list. You have to read it. There is no denial to it. I'm not going to waste your time by reading that because I'll explain you with examples. But I want you to have focus on few things: laws, rules, regulations, and conscience as source of ethical guidance. So now in unit 1, you will study sources of ethics. But in unit 6 or 5 or 6, you have found conscience as source of the ethical guidance, laws, rules, regulations. Have the UPSC not itself linked both the units? Yes, they have. And same thing you have to do. You have to link entire syllabus unit wise, inter-unit, inter-GS, intra-GS, all the levels, right? Accountability, ethical governance. You can use World Bank reference over here for good governance and then go to ethical governance. Ethical issues in international relations. See, this is where come Russia-Ukraine war. Funding, corporate governance. Corporate governance again, private ethics. So you should have ethics in public, ethics in private. That's where comes into play, right? I'll just, few things are there that I have to explain with examples. So I'll just make once, I'll get you through our entire syllabus and then I'll explain it with few examples. Probity in governance. So what is probity? You should know. This is honesty. This is integrity. This is probity, right? ये तो example हो गया. This is how you will explain, but you should know what probity is. Probity is higher level of integrity. What is integrity? Is higher level of honesty. What is honesty? Is honesty is being truth always, being truthful. So now this is you have to learn. One term is linked to another term, another is to another, and you have to break the entire level by level, get into the basic details of the term, get that crystal clear clarity that any example you can fit. So you should know what's the difference between honesty and integrity. So if I give the example, Ashwathama is dead, will you say he was honest? Will you say he was integral? You don't have to confuse that he was dishonest, he was not integral. You have to pinpoint where it will come. Like that. Correct? Philosophical basis of governance, probity, information sharing, transparency, right to information, code of ethics, code of conduct, model code of conduct for elections, everything is there. So GS2 का syllabus भी link हो रहा है वापस हमारा यहाँ पे. Citizen charter, work culture, quality of service delivery, utilization of public fund, challenges of corruption. These are all ethics ka syllabus, not GS2 ka governance ka syllabus. Don't confuse it with that. You have to use the same concepts. You have to have same knowledge, but you have to present it in an ethical form. What ethical impacts will it have? You have to explain with that. So when I say citizen charter, you should know if the citizen charter is there, there will be quality service delivery. There will be timely service delivery. There will be the administration will be looked up to. Administration will perform. Administration will give quality of service delivery in time. That's how efficiency and economy will work. Am I making sense or am I just bombarding you with the statements? I don't want to do that. Right? If you have any doubts, please mention. I'll look at them at once. Contributions of moral thinkers, philosophers from India and the world. Now the question comes how to deal with this world and India part. I have said before, don't go and Google for it. You have various friends with different options. Talk with them, get few philosophical ideas of the thinkers, share your ideas, prepare your notes and you are done through. Just you can make few Google searches, images and you will find there is no harm to it. You can definitely use Topper's copies, Topper's notes. They have few of them have uploaded their notes which are genuinely good and which give thorough clarity of the contribution part, but I don't feel this is very important that you have to sit and do, because this is something which you will generally understand by reading stuff. You read newspapers, there are some references. You read books, there are some references. You read specific books which are about the thinkers, right? So you will get out there. Case studies we have discussed before, that you have to understand understand the entire gamut of the situation given, identify few alternatives, select few alternative on the basis of ethical concerns, and then perform accordingly. That will be a course of action, right? Ethics case studies carry 20 marks. That's huge, and you can definitely score in that. And that's how you will cross 100. Because if you think you will cross 100 on the basis of theory section A, then I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Case studies are going to be the key concerns. previous year questions coming back. This will be a kind of entire circle we started with. Every time you study ethics, every time you study any paper of GS, your optional GS, essay, no matter what, you have to start with previous year questions. There is no other alternative. 3 stars, 4 stars to this statement. There is no alternative without previous year questions. There are only 2 things, and I say this with full responsibility. There are only 2 things that are going to help you sail through. 1, syllabus. 2, previous year questions. If you know these 2 things, I'm telling you, the journey will be so easy. You will enjoy the journey, and at the end of the day, you might get cleared with the flying colors as well. So I'll show you a few examples which I wanted to, and I'll take examples then. I'll take a few questions. So this is, I have explained this Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's example, former Prime Minister. This is Bharat and Ram wala Bharat Milap, and this is Pepsi Coca-Cola. So you have to find this kind of examples. This is corporate governance ka example, but we have used in integrity. This is integrity ka example, but you can use it in honesty as well. You can use it in integral quality of civil servants as well. Now Ram Bharat, this can be used anywhere. Respect, family values, integrity, we have used here. कटप्पा ने बाहुबली को क्यों मारा, ये वाला क्वेश्चन भी आना चाहिए आप लोगों को. So you have to like Katappa was a civil servant, right? So you should know what things are happening around, why he killed, what was he right, was he ethical, what was his ethical source of guidance that made him kill Bahubali. See, I'll tell you one thing. When you link your ethics syllabus with your movies, with your books, with something which you enjoy, it will be very easy. So when you have to talk about women empowerment, you can definitely give an example of Thappad movie. When you talk about education, role of educational institutions, teachers, you can definitely go and look to Tare Zameen Par. So this kind of examples will definitely happen and will help you to get the concept to the core. Else it will be just on the surface and that will not suffice as such. So to get the marks, you have to get into the depth and you have to make it interesting for yourself so that you understand it well. And such things will definitely help. Accountability का example, when our Prime Minister says, मैं जवाबदेही हूँ, I am accountable, he means it, right? And you have to mean it too because you are going to be civil servant. You have to be accountable to whom? You have to be accountable to your political masters, to your superiors, to your subordinates, to your colleagues, to public at large, and at the end of the day to yourself. And that's where ethics comes into play. If you're accountable to yourself, you will definitely be true in your service. Non-partisanship, in neutrality, that's the basic quality of IAS officer or any civil servant for that matter. This is objectivity, subjectivity, impartiality, non-partisanship. You have to do this kind of exercise, right? Now these are the few examples which you should know by heart. She is Arunima Simha. You can watch her leg. There is few issues with her leg and yet she climbed Mount Everest. The officer is Armstrong Pame. He built 100 kilometers road with the public funding. These are kind of examples which you should know. This will enrich your answers and you can find it in any public place. There is nothing hidden source for it that you have to go and find some particular book and read. It's just general awareness you will get. The betterindia.com, the website, it's definitely useful. It gives every year top 10 officers who have performed well. So you can definitely refer to that and get the answers. She is Durga Shakti Nagpal ma'am. The work also is mentioned. Former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. Ma'am is Ira Singhal ma'am. She is also an IAS officer, rank 1. So she is differently abled, specially abled, right? And she is doing fantastic job in her career right now. She has taken various initiatives. In spite of facing any number of difficulties, she didn't give up on her dreams. And that's what we call perseverance, correct? You don't have to give up on your dreams of UPSC, right? You have to keep striving hard no matter what, no matter how many times you fail. You just need to pass once. And Thomas Alva Edison says, I failed 1,000 times, but I learned 1,000 ways how not to make a bulb, right? And then he was able to do it. That's emotional intelligence. You can see the Chandrayaan 2 situation. I have taken examples from real life so that you're able to understand, relate what is happening around. It's not just bookish examples. 2 अक्टूबर को क्या हुआ सबको पता है. सेकंड पार्ट भी आ गया है उसके बारे में. So देख लो क्या है फिर. Was he emotionally intelligent? Was he able to follow ethics? Was he able to make himself calm, protect his family? Now when you watch the movie Drishyam, you have to ask yourself a question, right? How ethical it is. What the boy did, was it ethical? What Ajay Devgan did, was it ethical? What Taboo did, was it ethical? Get the questions answered and you will find you are getting the neck of ethics. That's when you start questioning the things, you start answering the questions ethically, right? Now, this is Edward Snowden. You all know him, I guess, I assume. And he was the person responsible for WikiLeaks, the whistleblowing stuff. And that's where the whistleblowing came into limelight and people are like, hey about it. And we should know about him. So we should know, is whistleblowing ethical? Is the whistleblowing not ethical? When to whistleblow, when not to whistleblow? What are the steps that should be taken before whistleblowing? There are case studies asked onto it and you have to know them. That's where previous year question will help. That's okay. That's not important. Now, when we come back to previous year questions, I'll tell you a few things what you have to do to get, like there are few issues which we face, that how to get such examples, how to learn the terminologies, and where all to get the things right in one place. So you will get things right in one place at here. Previous year questions. There are only two places which will help you to get previous year questions right and the next exam's question right. So when I say you have to refer previous year questions, you don't have to just go read the questions and answer them. You have to make a list of all the terms used in the paper, identify them, link it with the syllabus, use them as examples, use them in different answers. Case studies you can use in section A material you can use in section B, that is case studies, right? So in paper they have asked last year 10 qualities of civil servant, 2019 I guess it was asked, 10 qualities of civil servant which you think are important, enumerate. Now, if you look at that paper thoroughly, you will find 6 to 7 qualities they have mentioned in the entire paper itself. You don't have to brainstorm on the 10 topics. Just read the paper, you get 6 qualities as it is, and additional 5 you have to add. They are not expecting you to be a ratta popat wala system. They don't want bookish people. They want intelligent people. They want emotionally intelligent people. Those who have ethics. If you have ethics, there is if you have emotional intelligence, you have ethics. You have ethics, you are more smart in your work. You will not harm others and you will make others empower, right? So this is where previous year question comes. Make list of terms, get the examples through it. Examples has to be multidimensional. One from administration has to be there, has to be there, has to be there. There is no alternative to it. If you are preparing for an administrative exam, for a competitive exam, which makes you administrator, you should know what's happening in an administration. You don't have to go into politics, but you have to know what political situation is going around. You can take examples from them. Few examples which are well known, which are well documented, you can use them as well with the names. There is no harm to it, but don't go into controversies. Avoid controversy at every step. That will only help you through. So that's how we get ethics syllabus, ethics decoding. If you have any queries, you can definitely contact at the numbers given in the description box. That will answer, we will answer your questions for sure. And meanwhile, I'll look at the online queries as well. How we will identify one as example, I have answered that question. उतने सारे books पढ़ने के लिए time ही नहीं होता तो कैसे करें? That's why I said you don't have to read the books. You have to learn the subject and you will get through it. No Simran, this is not kind of a marathon session. We'll definitely think on it, but this is just a discussion about syllabus to make you acquaint with it. लेकिन पहले terms and concepts पढ़ लेंगे तभी तो जानेंगे notes और book पे, right? That's why I have said make list of the terms from the previous year questions, Google them, find them, use the books, examples, and you will be thorough with the half of the syllabus, right? Recently, I guess 2 years back, there was this controversy from Delhi happening, locker room case, right? I guess many of you are aware. If not, please Google it. So you should know that ethics is not something like there is one determinant of ethics, that is poverty. So we say when you are from a poor condition, we cannot expect ethics from you. But when you are from an affluent class, still we don't expect ethics from you, right? That's what is being reflected from locker room case. Please go and Google it. This kind of examples, social examples, student life, college life, everything happening around. The Panchayat series, you get the concept of Sarpanchpati, right? So is it ethical for the wife to give her elected seat to her husband? Let's not think from a political perspective, polity perspective, GS2 perspective. Think that same example from a GS4 perspective and you will find multiple dimensions opening for it. Role of governor can also be controversial at places, but don't pinpoint someone unless and until it is being proved. That way it will cost huge loss to your marks as well, and that will eventually destroy your journey and a dream of UPSC. So I guess I am done with my stuff which I wanted to tell you all to make you understand what is required in ethics. I'll summarize few things for you. Ethics has to be done by heart. And by heart, I means you don't have to mug up things, you have to understand things. You have to internalize things. That's when ethics will happen properly. Ethics will not be taught to you. You have it in yourself. The entire purpose of having ethics sessions, ethics lectures, ethics teaching is to brush up, to enhance the skill which you have, to make you aware that you have ethics in you and you can perform better. See, that's how things will work. In ethics, you need to have few terminologies on your tip of tongue, with examples and with for short stories. You can use them in your essay, you can use them in the entire GS, no problem. And you can use your GS material in ethics as well. Optional material in ethics as well. Just avoid the names and use the same concept. Right? So, previous year questions is the best source. Syllabus is the best source to prepare for ethics. Books you can refer on your own. There is no harm to it. But I'll advise, no matter what book you take, make your own notes, short notes, scripts notes. Between GS3 and GS4, when you are writing an exam, you have only 2 hours to write, right? To have relaxation and go for GS ka paper. In that, you have to relax yourself from the previous GS3 ka paper. Think of GS4, you have your lunch, you have your rest, you have to go 30 minutes before and all that stuff. You have to manage everything in these 2 hours. So ask yourself a question when you prepare for ethics or when you prepare for any GS for that matter. How are you going to revise in those 2 hours? What will be your sources? And prepare your notes accordingly. If you are able to answer the question how you are going to revise 2 hours, entire subject, entire syllabus, few selective areas, if not entire syllabus, then you will definitely make good notes. Note making is a skill. You will not get it in a 1 day, 1 week. Many people don't get in a year. So don't worry about it. Keep trying. Make multiple notes, scratch the old notes, make new, scratch the new, make another one, and finally you will have a book for yourself which you will read. Don't make notes for Telegram. Don't make notes for Xerox shops. You don't have to share your notes with anyone. That's not the purpose of the note making. Note making purpose is you have to revise yourself entire syllabus before going to the exam, right? Prepare notes accordingly. Yes, ethics ke class honge. You just contact the numbers mentioned in the description box and you will get the details of them for sure. Chalo, let's call it a day. I guess I have been able to make you understand what are the requirements of ethics, how to approach ethics. Don't be bookish at all. Don't be bookish, please. Watch movies, watch series, read books, observe your surrounding, learn from your friends, parents, people around you, teachers, and you will enjoy ethics like hell. I literally mean it that if you start enjoying ethics, you will definitely score good marks. For sure. Chalo, let's call it a day. I'll end the session. If anybody has any queries, please contact on the numbers mentioned below. You will be answered for sure. Thank you.